This is Secret America.
Welcome, everybody. I am Jack Danger along with Jay Gatling. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you to maxassociates.etsy.com. They've been an excellent sponsor of the show. So we want to go ahead and put this out there. Be sure you guys check out maxassociates.etsy.com. They are the #1 place for USA Pride gifts and patriotic apparel. Absolutely awesome, Jay. I mean, they've got so much good stuff, that I want to bring out some, I'm just going to try to show some of the stuff they got. One thing I really liked, Jay, is they have a sticker for your cards, like a decal, right? And it says, "I'm allergic to liberals." I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. I'm going to put this stuff up here real quick because I want everybody to be able to see, some of the stuff that they got. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, no, let's see what we got here. All right, stop. A proud veteran. I like that. Keep going.
I mean, I love this kind of stuff, And let me go back to what I was talking about. I want to show everybody what I was talking about. There's this awesome. Oh, by the way, if you go look at their stuff, I mean, they've got 51 ratings and it's 4.8 stars out of 5. That's incredible.
You can't do much better than that.
No. Here it is right here. This is the decal. It's a truck magnet. Look, "I'm allergic to liberals." I love it. I absolutely loved it. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was wonderful. And I wanted to show everybody that they've got so many good things. And it's like we say, it's not just the generic bullshit,
Yeah,
it's the actual good stuff. Check this out. I love it. "I'm allergic to liberals." You know what? I might have to get that just for myself. That's great. That is great.
Jack, if they came out with a vaccine for that might be one vaccine I might try. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
There you go, Max. If you're watching this, that's an excellent T-shirt. I need a vaccine for liberals or something like that. That would be great. If you're allergic to liberals, this is a way to get a vaccine. Get some you can come up with. You can come up with a good saying. You know how to do it with all your products. Something to do with vaccines, liberals, and then not being allergic to them anymore. Something funny in that area.
Yeah. Allergic to Democrats at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome though. That is, I mean, he's got such good stuff. So make sure you guys go there, check it out. I've got the QR code at the top right. Just scan it. Max Associates, best patriotic gifts you'll find anywhere. So just go check it out. I promise you will not be sorry. Okay, Jay. Let's go ahead and talk about the very first thing that I want to bring up. All right.
Good.
So apparently, the New York Post, Yahoo Sports, AOL, they all stole my saying. I'm getting tongue tied here. When Ma'am Donnie went and dapped up, the Mets mascots. Ever since then, they were 0-10 when I wrote this post, okay? And I said, that it's the curse of the Mambino, like the curse of the Bambino, where the Red Sox couldn't win the World Series. I said this is the curse of the Mambino, where they can't win a game since he dapped them up. And by the way, since then, they're now 0-11 since that time. And then 2 days later, the New York Post says the exact same thing. Jay, yeah, go ahead and tell them about it real quick.
Well, if anybody doesn't know, the curse of the Bambino, as Jack said, is Babe Ruth. And when he was traded by the Boston Red Sox to the New York Yankees, that was the last time they'd won the World Series until about 2003. So it was always called the curse of the Bambino on the Red Sox, why they couldn't win a World Series from 1918 to 2003. So with Mom Donnie is a video of him at the New York Mets game. You see Mrs. Met and Mr. Met. They dress in the Mets uniform and have the big baseball head on, and they're all flipping out. They're like, oh, jumping up and down because Zoran Mamdani, the mayor's there, and he hugs Mrs. Met. Then he goes up and he, gives a hug, I think, to Mr. Met. And since then, they have not won a baseball game. The Mets have not won a baseball game since Zoran Mamdani put the curse of the Mambino on the team, as Jack came up with the other day. And Jack, it might be 10 cents or 11, whatever it is. It's double digits losses in a row for the New York Mets since Zoran Mamdani decided to grace the Mets ballpark at Citi Field and hug their mascots. How long can it go on for? We'll see. Will it hit 12? Will the Mets hit 12 in a row or hit 12 losses in a row? Everybody, put it in the comments. Tell us what you think. How long will this losing streak with the New York Mets, the curse of the Bambino, carry on?
Absolutely. And sorry about that, guys. We were trying to get US Senate candidate Chris Gleason in here. He was supposed to come on tonight. We had a little technical difficulties, but hopefully he'll be coming on really soon because we want to ask him about his run for US Senate that he's doing right now. And he's a friend of Ann Vandersteel, the investigative journalist we had on, about a week ago. She was awesome, and I assume that he is just as awesome because anybody that is recommended by Ann Vandersteel, I'm going to trust her recommendations on people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
I want to show them this though, Jay. I am going to real quick. I want to show everybody what we're talking about. Okay. So take a look at this. This is, if I can get it back up there. Here we go. Take a look at this. All right. This is my post right here. All right, can you see that? This is my post right here, The Curse of the Bambino. Now, it says 1 day ago, but it was actually 2 days ago, April 19th. It was 1 day ago when I took the screenshot, but it was 2 days ago. The Curse of the Bambino, okay? And I said the Mets are now 0-10 since New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani did what he did. All right, and we have Chris Gleason now in the background. He's backstage. I'm going to bring him up in just a second. But first, I want to finish what we're doing. So check this out. The Curse of the Bambino right here. Then 2 days later, we have the New York Post saying Curse of the Bambino. Look at that. And then they say, they said that they have lost 10 in a row. 10 in a row. And what is amazins? What the hell does that mean?
They called from 1969 when the Mets won the World Series, when there was a miracle. They called the Miracle Mets or the Amazing Mets. So they have a short name. People call them the Amazins.
All right, yeah, that's ridiculously stupid. But anyways, they put Curse of the Bambino. Okay, and then real quick before we bring Chris in, I want to show everybody something. This is fun right here. I want everybody to see this. I am going to switch to the Secret America account because I don't want anybody thinking that Grok says this just because it's on my account. Okay, I am now on the Secret America account, as you can see. I'm bringing up Grok right here. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to say who coined the phrase Curse of the Bambino. We're going to see right now who coined the phrase, and was that phrase stolen by New York Post, etc. Let's look and see what they say. I'm interested to see what they say, Jay. Oh, look at that. Look. What does that say? It says Jack Danger, host of Secret America, coined the phrase Curse of the Bambino. It originated in his April 19th, 2026 post, which directly linked the Mets to the 0-10, yada, yada, yada. So let's see. Did New York Post steal it? Yes. Oh, did the New York Post and others steal it? Yes. In the sense of adopting the exact phrase and framing without crediting the source. There you go. There you go. The New York Post, you stole it from me. I wish there was some kind of remedy for that shit. I wish I could sue them and get millions of dollars, Jay. They stole it from me. You got Yahoo Sports stole it from me, AOL Sports. There was a lot of people that stole that exact phrase and framing too. Not just the phrase, but Jay, check this out. This is what I'm talking about. Not just the phrase, because I said they were 0-10, right? I said they were 0-10, and they were on April 19th when I did that post. But guess what? After I said they were 0-10, after I said they were 0-10, they actually went and copied it because they had gone 0-11 since this post, Jay. They lost another game.
They did. Now they might have been 0-10 since the hug, Jack. I might have messed that up in my post.
No. Other people, I mean, even Grok is saying that they're 0-11 now.
Yeah. They're 0-11 now, but they might have lost
since the hug. Yeah, since the hug. But look at this. This was 2 days ago when I said 0-10, and I said this exact thing. Then today they say 0-10, lost 10 in a row. No, they've lost 11 in a row now. Before this post at 6:01 a.m. this morning. 11 in a row. Curse of the... So that tells you right there, not only did they take the phrasing, but they actually took the lost 10 in a row thing because they had lost 11 in a row by the time they posted this.
Yeah, they lost 11 in a row. Now, I'm not sure if it was a game before the hug that they lost. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here's what matters. They stole your headline. They stole your saying, period. And they gave you no credit for it. And that's what matters, honestly. The New York Post usually has great headline writers, and maybe they're not so great. Maybe they're just stealing stuff. They go around the internet looking for great stuff and cribbing it. I don't know.
Because that's very possible. But what really pisses me off, Jay, in that article, they give people that have 1 like or 2 likes some credit for some of the stuff that they say.
Yeah.
They actually give, if you go in that article online, they give people credit that have 1 like for their post or people that have no likes for their post, yet they give them credit for some of the things like saying, oh, they're 0-11 or whatever. But they gave no credit for the headline. And that's just what pisses me off, because that's a good headline.
No, it's a great headline. It's a great saying, and you got it. You thought of it. They should give you credit for it. I mean, it's the headline of the front page. It's the headline of their paper for the day. That's a major deal.
Even Grok, not just Grok though, not just Grok. Jay, you saw we did Google, and what was the other one? We did Chat GPT. They all say that they have stolen the content from Jack Danger. So there we are.
Absolutely. So it's yours. Whether they correct it on the record or not, don't hold your breath, but you never know. But regardless, we know it's yours, and it's forever documented in all these AIs.
I love that.
You came up with it first. And
I love that it's documented in the AIs. And thank you very much for Phantom Maga saying that the New York Post is a wannabe Jack Danger. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Let's see if Chris Gleason is ready. We are going to bring him in. He is a U.S. Senate candidate, and we're going to ask him about pretty much everything. We're going to ask him about his campaign. We're going to ask him about who he's running against. We are going to make sure you know everything about this man before he leaves here today. So let's go ahead and bring in. Let me make sure we got this going right. Let's go ahead and bring in Chris Gleason. Chris, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
All right. Good, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here, man. So why don't we just go ahead and start with, why don't you tell people what you're running for and who you're running against, what state? Just tell them all the good stuff.
Sure. So I am running for United States Senate in Florida against Ashley Moody.
Oh,
and we need some representatives in the Senate who are actually going to do stuff and not be on the payroll of the commies.
I like that.
Sounds good.
So tell us, what made you want to run for U.S. Senate? I mean, I know we want good people on the payroll and not the people that are commies, but was there like a specific event or a specific thing that said, you know what, I got to get out there?
It was a long series of events, actually. I never set out to be a politician. This was not something that I wanted to do. However, after what I saw go on in 2020, I ended up getting very involved in Florida election integrity efforts and election integrity efforts nationwide. And the things that I saw here in Florida with the not so gold standard of elections and the cover-ups and concealment and treason by selected officials here in Florida, to include Ashley Moody, really forced my hand to have to get involved. So.
Excellent.
Chris, you're thank you for your service. You're an Army veteran. Thank you for your service, first of all. What you brought up Ashley Moody. She replaced Marco Rubio, right?
That is correct.
She was appointed by Governor DeSantis.
Yes.
After Marco Rubio went to be Secretary of State, which he's been a phenomenal Secretary of State, by the way, I think. But okay, so Ashley Moody, you say about the China and everything else. Some other things about Ashley Moody that bother you to the point you said, I got to run for the United States Senate.
Yeah. So we did a lot of work, myself and other grassroots folks here in Florida. We did a lot of work on election integrity issues after the 2020 election. I specifically went to the state of Florida with a lot of evidence of insider election fraud. within the election supervisors' offices all across Florida. I'm the original source for all of the stuff that you're hearing about Act Blue currently. I'm the guy who spearheaded a lot of that stuff.
Really?
And yeah. So I was. Go
Why don't
ahead.
you tell us about that? That is interesting right there.
Yeah, so that's really a lot in the news past couple
how did
days.
it come about? How did it start?
So I first discovered it in 2021, 2022. I was working on a congressional campaign in Washington State, and it was for Scott Stevenson. He was the founder of WebCrawler. It was the first search engine.
Oh, cool.
And I was helping Scott with a data problem. We had to determine who was a Republican, who was a Democrat, who was an independent, their propensity to vote in primaries, and their propensity to donate money in campaigns.
Yeah.
And while we were figuring that out, or while I was figuring that out, we noticed that there were these individuals in Washington State, largely Democrats, who had been donating thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times in a single election cycle. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't look right. We got to check this data. We got to check this data. And
you're the one that found this. You're the one that found it. Wow. See, that right there should get you elected.
It should, but I'm heavily censored and heavily suppressed. But well, that's okay. We'll get through this.
Oh yeah.
So we brought this to the attention of Marco Rubio and his campaign, as well as the Secretary of State's office and Ashley Moody's office. And Secretary of State and Ashley Moody, they didn't really want to touch this thing. They didn't want to do anything about it. Marco Rubio, he did want to do something about it. And so he was the first one to actually do something about it. The story first broke in the Gateway Pundit. We had exposed that this was not only going on in Washington State, and then we proved it was going on in Oklahoma, then in Florida, and then we saw that it was also going on in Georgia. And we had identified about 600,000 people in Georgia, or who donated to Raphael Warnock in Georgia, who were unemployed, because we know that there was, we know that 600,000 contributions by unemployed people with no income is something that they would do during, an election year.
Unbelievable. So they were smurfing these people. I mean, they were using these people as smurfs, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
So now, do you think now with Act Blue currently under investigation, like by the U.S. House, but also under investigation now by Ken Paxton in Texas also, he just filed a lawsuit also. Do you think your work on Act Blue, what you started with all this, will actually make the Democrats have to play fair in terms of at least money-wise during this election cycle? Because this is all going on right before the midterm. So maybe the Republicans have a really good chance now that the Democrats can't just spend unlimited amounts of laundered money.
Well, it's funny you would ask that. So we've documented, tracked, and mapped every single Smurf donor in the entire universe.
Wow.
And we have all the data. We have everything mapped, everything tracked. Last month, I filed about $7 billion in FEC complaints against Act Blue, the DNC, the DSCC, filed FEC complaints against AIPAC, Democracy. There's just this whole cabal.
So, real quick, I want to make this clear for everybody. You were the person that started all this against Act Blue. The finding out that they were using Smurfs, and you're the man. That is the reason for all of this. Now, you're the man that actually may not only bring down Act Blue, but possibly bring down a lot of Democrats with it.
Yes. Yes,
Wow,
that's the
incredible.
goal.
That is incredible.
So one of the things, a lot of people don't know this, right, is once you've identified that there is illegal money flowing into campaigns, okay, once the campaign is put on notice, if they spend that money and don't segregate that money, well, that's another whole set of felonies.
Wow, that is awesome.
And so
God, that's huge, man. People need to realize how huge this is. This man right here may have single-handedly allowed the Democrats to keep the House and the Senate. We'll see.
You mean the Republicans, Jack?
What did I say?
You said Democrats.
I apologize.
Yeah, we want to keep we actually want the Democrats to have literally nobody.
You can. I think we'll be able to say that me and my team were able to bankrupt the entire Democrat money machine.
That's incredible. People don't realize how huge that's why they get some of the wins they get, because a lot of the money is laundered tax dollars, your own tax dollars sent overseas and then spent, with Smurfs and people's political donations. Like with Ukraine, what they did was the Democrats would vote for money to go to Ukraine. Ukraine would take half that money and dish it over to FTX. FTX would clean it through whatever they were doing, donate it back to the Democrats via Smurfs. And that's how all that happened. That's why Sam Bankman-Fried got arrested. And that's why all this is happening. So the fact that you were able to do this, that's incredible. I mean, you not only leveled the playing field, you made it to where Democrats essentially can't outspend them and just basically lie. It's just incredible. People need to realize how big this is.
It's really is a big deal. Now, the Republicans, they were late to the game on this. So this whole thing, the whole enterprise really started with the nonprofits back in about to 2001.
Like the NGOs or?
Yeah. And then Act Blue, they started their operations in 2003, 2004 timeframe. And they've just really, over time, scaled this to be such a massive operation. Now, one of the things that we've been tracking is the Chinese communist money, and how it has been flowing into our political campaigns. And one of the really interesting parts about this, right, is that this is not a new thing, because Bill Clinton, back when his reelection campaign happened, him and Gore, they took in a lot of money from the Chinese Communist government. And it was a big to-do. It was called Chinagate, right? And so what you're seeing today really is just the modernization of Chinagate. And it has been scaled unlike anything anybody could ever imagine, right? So what's particularly interesting, how it's working today, particularly in Florida, we've identified that there are Chinese communist-controlled shell corporations and executives who are criminally laundering money into political campaigns on both sides of the aisle.
Like Ashley Moody, is she one of them?
Like Ashley Moody. Wow. And this is really a big deal, because her dad, Ashley Moody's father, was a Clinton-appointed federal judge.
It always comes back to
always.
Of course.
It always comes back to them.
Yep. So her dad was a Clinton-appointed judge who was appointed after the Chinese communists paid for Clinton's reelection campaign. And so now they're financing his daughter to be a United States senator.
Wow.
Is Ashley Moody, and I don't know a lot about Ashley Moody. Nobody really did.
I don't either, but I know this.
Like, you're right, because she was appointed by the governor. Is she just another, in your view, Chris, is she just another Republican, a Democrat posing as a Republican?
Well, yeah, because that's how she started out. She was raised in a Democrat household. She registered to vote as a Democrat. She was mentored by a Democrat mega donor who was all about supporting the Clintons and Obama and Emily's List, and I mean, a radical leftist, right? And then at some point, she decided that it was more advantageous for her to become a Republican.
Right.
And this, by the way, I think this was after her and her family had sued Donald Trump over Trump Tower in Tampa. And I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Is basically, so my follow-up to that would be, or maybe a statement. It just seems that a lot of them are kind of, maybe someone like Ashley Moody right now is towing the line or going and playing along because President Trump's in power. Is she somebody that once President Trump's no longer there, God forbid a Democrat is there, that she would absolutely run with the Democrat agenda and really put up no resistance?
You know, the thing about Ashley Moody is that she ran to help DeSantis. I mean, she didn't endorse Trump while DeSantis was there. Right. She was actively campaigning for him. And as a matter of fact, after the big cheat that we found for 2020, she did her darndest to conceal the evidence of all the fraud throughout the state of Florida. Because you see, the same mechanisms that the Democrats used to steal elections in other states, they used it to steal elections here in Florida across a multitude of counties. And so she fought us tooth and nail and to conceal the fraud, to ensure that DeSantis was going to get the nomination. And there was a group of us here in Florida who fought really hard to prevent that from happening.
How do you feel about Ron DeSantis as the governor of Florida?
You know, I used to like him a lot. I liked him. I really did. I liked him a lot until I got active here in Florida, investigating the election fraud and the smurfing and the money laundering into political campaigns. Now, I mean, DeSantis, he grew up just like not far, like next town over from where I live right now. He's from this area, and it was very disappointing, the stuff that I saw. We tried to give him the benefit of the doubt for as long as possible, and he just there's two Ron DeSantises. Okay, there's what Ron DeSantis says. Okay, and what Ron DeSantis says is great. Okay. But then when you really peel the onion on what he actually does and what's actually in the legislation, it's not so great. So, I mean,
well, I want to ask you, with Ashley Moody, like you said earlier, she actually her own family dragged Trump into court over some shady Tampa condo scam and accused him of fraud. She was, like we said, she was a registered Democrat until 1998. And then all of a sudden she flips, she becomes AG or whatever. And she suddenly, she's MAGA, and then, she's like a controlled opposition where they insert these people, let them build a resume and then appoint them to the Senate, when Rubio gets pulled, to Secretary of State. She's like controlled opposition 101.
Absolutely.
I mean, even people in 2020, Moody apparently publicly joined the Texas lawsuit against the stolen election, but her own office called the lawsuit batshit insane, and that she was just doing it just to gain some points. Her own office called that in internal emails, said it was batshit insane, and that there was no way the election was stolen.
Yeah. Well, we know that it was.
Yeah.
We unequivocally, right? I mean, we could turn the voting machines into Pac-Man.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah. Even Kash Patel recently just said that they have evidence that backs Trump's claim and that the investigation is ongoing. And at the end, they are going to show this evidence that backs the claim that the election was stolen. I want to ask you real quick, though, about that. Let's say it was stolen, right? Let's say even a court rules it was stolen. Would they reverse things like, because I'm thinking that now it couldn't make him president. They can't make him president, back then, and he can't be president again. But would it be enough to reverse the pardons so we can go after an Anthony Fauci, go after a Hunter Biden and all these people? Because the auto pen should have reversed the pardons, if you ask me. But do you think that a nullification of presidency would allow them to reverse these pardons?
There's this thing in law. It's called void ab initio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's a very, very powerful thing. and it could be done. 100%, it could be done. I'm still like I ran for supervisor of elections here in Pinellas County, Florida, in 2024, and I'm still in litigation over it.
Who
And
did you run against?
I ran against a woman by the name of Julie Marcus, and she's another Democrat posing as a Republican, and she helped rig the election in 2024 against Trump.
Well, let me ask you, why isn't there any Republicans posing as Democrats? Why don't you do that, Chris? Why don't you change to a Democrat? I mean, you got all these Democrats that'll change to Republican, and because they're willing to go hardcore for their belief system, right? Their insane belief system. They're willing to go all the way. Why don't we have Republicans that are willing to go all the way?
I think you might have that right now. There's a guy by the name of David Jolly, he's running for governor, and he may be a dino.
Really? A dino? That's the first time I've heard that term, because I don't think one of those exists. But if he is that would be awesome.
I mean, he's against guns, so and he's pro-abortion. So those aren't necessarily good Republican conservative things. But
against guns is kind of that's a non-starter in Florida. There's no way he wins governor.
Yeah. I mean, he used to be a Republican. He actually, it's funny because he was an aide for Bill Young. And then when Bill Young passed away, he was appointed as governor. And then Charlie Crist,
oh God, he's the worst.
Through election fraud, stole Jolly's race.
He's the worst. Oh God.
So Florida is not the gold standard. Maybe it's the gold standard of election fraud. Maybe it's the gold.
I will say it's gotten a lot better in terms of the things that are going on down there. Maybe not the elections themselves, but how it's being run is better than a lot of states.
Yes, right, we are the least ugliest house on the street.
Yes, exactly. On a street full of ugly houses, you're the least ugliest.
Chris, let me ask you, do you consider yourself a MAGA candidate? Do you consider you lying very closely with President Trump on most issues, some issues?
And you don't have to say yes because I'm not MAGA. I'm not MAGA. He is hardcore.
So I am hardcore America first. Okay.
Me too. I'm not MAGA, but I am a
constitutional. Okay, I'm a constitutional conservative.
Perfect.
And that, I mean, is it constitutional? Okay. Is it America first? Is this the best thing for our nation? And
so now you're the perfect candidate because MAGA, he's a hard Jay is a hardcore MAGA. I'm just an America first constitutional conservative, like you said, and that's perfect. Now I think you're the perfect candidate because that's someone with that mindset is who needs to win.
I mean, because at the end of the day, do I want America to be great again? Of course I do. What good American doesn't? I mean,
that's what America first is.
So I think that the stigma that has been put on MAGA is that you have to go along part and parcel with everything that the president wants. And frankly, he's got some really bad advisors in there giving him some really bad counsel.
Just like 2016.
Yes. I mean, thank God we got rid of Scam Blondie. And she's gone.
She was the worst. I've never seen somebody that was not only bad at their job, but so bad at messaging. I mean, she couldn't even like have people. At least if you're gonna not do your job, you got to be like a Spengali. You got to be like a Spengali. You got to be one of those.
Well, the thing about Pamela Joe is that she was installed to ensure that the Florida cover-up continued.
And what are we talking about?
For the election fraud and all of the bad stuff that does go on here in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, little inside baseball here. About a week or two before the August primary in 2024, we had tracked and traced a lot of fraud, documented a lot of fraud here in Pinellas County. And Pam Bondi was at a GOP poll trainer, poll watcher event in Hillsborough County in Tampa. And so I went over and I introduced myself. I explained that I was running for supervisor of election and that we had documented extensively a lot of election fraud
and
within
this is back
the
when she was Attorney General of Florida, right?
No. She was at the time she was a lobbyist for Ballard Partners, I think, and
really?
she was working for the America First organization, and she was helping the Trump campaign.
So she wasn't Florida AG then. Okay.
No,
okay. Not at the time.
Ashley Moody was was at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what Ashley Moody. That's how she was chosen by the governor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I explained all of the stuff that we had found here in Florida, and Pamela Joe referred me over to the RNC election day operations guy. And I went over, I exchanged information with him, and we stayed in touch. And then the Sunday before August 20th, the primary day, I was asked to get a memo for what was going to happen in Florida for the election to President Trump. And so I put together this memo and I got it to him. And pretty much everything that we were thinking was going to happen ended up happening to all of the candidates who ran for supervisor of elections in the state of Florida. However, all of the establishment candidates, they somehow managed to get selected. But, what was funny is that on election night, during primary, the entire voting system went down. The whole state went down. And not one single America First or MAGA supervisor of elections candidate ended up winning in that election. Not one. Even though I think that the thing that was on everybody's mind, right, in 2024 was election integrity. And so Pamela Joe, she did nothing. And I've ended up suing over this. My case has already made its way all the way up to the Florida Supreme Court. Now it's back in the appellate court, and it's still getting litigated. And I think that when everybody in Florida and everyone nationwide sees what has gone on here in Florida, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, this is going on where we live too. Hey, we don't have clean or real elections anywhere.
What is specifically going on, Chris? What is the fraud? What are they doing? Like what's happening?
So there's a multitude of vectors that they use because they don't want to put all the eggs in one basket, right? Because if you put all the eggs in the one basket for fraud, you're not going to, it makes it much more difficult for you to challenge election fraud cases if they break it down amongst various avenues. One of the most important avenues, okay, is a clean voter roll, right? Critically important. Then what they'll do is they'll inject a lot of bad names into the voter rolls. Then they send out vote by mail ballots to addresses that may have undeliverable as addressed addresses, people who never requested their vote by mail ballots, and somewhere between when the ballots are mailed out and the ballots are counted, somebody intercepts those ballots, fills them out, and casts them. And so that's one way. Okay, we've gotten pretty good at tracking that, though.
I was looking right here at the best ways for you to beat Ashley Moody, and it says the things that you're actually doing. The number one thing is to frame her as the ultimate controlled opposition / Rhino, which she is. She's a former Democrat who switched to Republican in 1998. Her family did the lawsuit against Trump years ago. The leaked office emails that called the 2020 Texas election lawsuit batshit insane. The DeSantis appointment as a payoff, and the alleged campaign finance
Oh, it's not alleged. It's not alleged. So here's the great thing about what I do, right?
Yep.
I only operate within the government documents.
Good.
So everything is all federally sourced, everything state sourced. So what we ended up finding out was that she was taking money from a network of shell companies and companies that were under de facto control by the Chinese Communist government. Okay.
Wow. And was she aware of this? Did she know that was where it was coming from?
She was put on notice about this, I believe, in 2023 for the first time.
And she kept doing it.
She took China money, China cash.
Wow. And that's great because actually the number 2 thing that it says is your core strength is your forensic work on Act Blue and WinRed and the smurfing and also the CCP linked shell companies that have been funneled into Florida politics and tying it to, Moody's committee. So the things that you're doing right now are brilliant. And your forensic work, the fact that you're the one that started this stuff on Act Blue, that should be everywhere. You should be, on One America News, you should be on Fox. This needs to be everywhere. If you have a campaign manager, do you have a campaign manager? If you do, they need to step up their job and get you on Fox News and OA. This is huge. It should be everywhere.
Yeah, well, they don't like. I have effectively been in a memory hole. They're trying to memory hole me. I'm one of the most heavily censored people online.
The fact that you were able to do this is incredible. I mean, most people don't have the patience or the attention span these days to be able to work with numbers like that the way you did. So that's incredible. I got to give you credit on that. I mean, you might bring down Act Blue.
Well, we are going to bring down Act Blue and their replacement. And there's 2 replacements that have already been stood up over this,
really?
right?
What are they?
One of them is called Democracy Engine.
Engine?
And that was started by a guy by the name of Jonathan Zucker. Mm-hmm. And that is funding the Uniparty, okay? Wow. Because you have Republicans and Democrats using Democracy Engine. And then you have another one called the Action Network, and that has been stood up by the labor unions, AFL-CIO, all the dirty money tied to Amalgamated Bank and Act Blue and Chase and PayPal and George Soros networks. Yeah. So but again, we've got it all mapped, we've got it all tracked. And as a United States Senate candidate, right, they have to give me equal time. Yep. And I fully intend to leverage that.
Yes.
This go around. And
leverage the fact that you're bringing down Act Blue and See that right there. You should have like mailers and flyers and posters that say, the man that brought down Act Blue, the man that leveled the playing field. I could be your campaign manager, man. I'm telling you, man. We could go deep in this mother. that you gotta ride that horse all the way to the White House, man. I'm telling you, people don't realize how big that is.
It's a big deal. It is a big deal. And so, especially with the news that came out yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. So, with the House, they subpoenaed all of these Act Blue executives and employees, and they all pled the fifth.
146 times.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's incredible. But how cool is it, though? Honestly, how cool is it to see that all this is happening because of your work? When you see people, being subpoenaed to the House, or when you see Ken Paxton, probably the best AG in the country right now, you see him putting out lawsuits and stuff on Act Blue. How cool is it to see your work, causing all that?
It's good. I think it gives me hope, right? It gives me hope that we can save the Republic, and I think that so part of this whole process, right, that we've been deploying with the FEC complaints, I also filed what's called an OFAC petition. That's the Office of Foreign Asset Control petition.
How do you know all this stuff? How do you know all this stuff?
I ended up. I'm a pretty smart guy.
You seem like you're a smart man.
And I built. Me and a friend of mine, we built our own AI. And
really?
yes, we built our own AI.
Wow.
And we've been at this probably since about 23, since 23-ish.
Wow.
We've been working on our own LLMs and our own models and stuff. I mean, I've been in software forever. I built a search engine for mortgage loan programs before most banks had websites. So everybody was like on AOL, and I had built a search engine for mortgages.
That's amazing. That is amazing. But I mean, how do you know all this stuff? Like what an OFAC petition is, and you know what? I mean, how do you know this stuff? Most people would not.
I've worked in finance a lot of my life, and I've worked in software, and I know that there are levers and mechanisms that can be deployed. I mean, I worked for a period of time. I worked for UBS, the Bank of Evil, the evil Swiss bank. I worked for them, and so I mean, I have a lot of training, and I have a lot of it.
And most people don't know that, though, Chris, that there are levers, just like in the Senate or in the House, there are points of orders. There are, regulation rules that you can use to actually move acts through committees where you don't even have to have a committee vote. There are points of orders that you can use, just like the rules that you can use out here. Most people don't know that. So that's why I think it's great that you do.
Yeah. So we're using a lot of levers. So, a lot of people, they go at it one way, and we've actually been filing sworn criminal complaints, civil rights complaints. I mean, we've taken lawfare to a whole other level with the stuff that we've been filing. Excellent. So right now there's no quorum with the FEC. There are two commissioners, both of them Democrat. One of them probably will end up being walked out of there in handcuffs when we get done with her, Dara Lindenbaum. She's tied to Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff and the Fair Fight PAC. That was the Stacey Abrams organization, tied to the mules, right? That 2,000 mules or whatever video that was.
Yeah, we had Dinesh D'Souza on the show a while talking about that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's only two commissioners there, and the Senate, has not been confirming anybody, and they're slow walking all of the president's Senate appointments, right? So this is why that's why America needs people like me, an upstart like me, to get in there and shake stuff up. And so what's gonna end up happening, right? Is so on March 1st, I filed a deluge of FEC complaints. And so the way the law works is the FEC has 120 days to act. Okay. They're not going to act because they don't have a quorum. So they're not going to do anything. So on day 121, I get to sue the FEC and say, hey, FEC, you're not doing your job. You are acting contrary to law, and you are not doing your job. And so then the FEC will have to take a default on that. And then that means that I and my counterpart, Peter Bernegger from up in Wisconsin, because he's filing these things too, we're both going to get to walk in and prosecute the money laundering into Act Blue and these various other campaigns, like Lindsey Graham, who's been smurfing, John Thune.
Oh, please get him, please.
Ashley Moody, the whole rotten cabal, and all of the George Soros organizations, the DNC, the DCC, and so on and so forth.
Chris, so let's say we need somebody like you in there. So let's say, and this is just for the sake of argument, okay? I'm not going to say this again. I'm just saying this just for the sake of argument. Let's say that Ashley Moody, cheats or whatever she does, and she wins this. About the points of orders and the rules and regulations and all that stuff. So let's say you go find a place where you can either easily be appointed to the Senate, or of a place where there's just one person that always runs and they don't really care. There's places like that all over the country. You can get in the Senate if you really want to. And I think we need you in there. So if something happens in this where she cheats or whatever happens and you lose, I want you to do something like that. About that kind of stuff. You can find the places in the country where there's like an incumbent that just runs because nobody else is running, or they appointed somebody and there's going to be a special election and the person that's running sucks. They need somebody to run against them. There's places where you can win. So if this happens,
so here's the thing though with Ashley Moody, it can't happen because all her money's going to be tied up.
That's right. I love it. Oh my God.
And so yes, actually today I got the updated stuff on Vindman. Okay, one of the Treason twins. He's running for Senate.
Scumbag.
And yeah, he's a scumbag, and we caught him smurfing bigly. And so all of his money, all smurfed. And the way that money laundering works, is once you've injected tainted money into the batch, the whole batch is contaminated.
That's true.
And so with Moody and with Vindman, because of the amount of the illegal, criminally laundered funds that have been injected into their campaigns, I'm going to bankrupt both of their campaigns.
That is awesome. And that's the beauty of what you're doing with Act Blue, just like what Ken Paxton is doing with the lawsuit, based on your work, the lawsuit that he's doing. What that's doing is it's stopping his opponent from being able to use, the illegal funds to outspend him by $60 or $100 million. It's forcing everybody to play on a level playing field, or actually even put the Republicans up a little higher because all their money is frozen, the Democrats. So I think it's awesome, and we got to get you in there, man. We got to get you in there.
What kind of time frame are you talking about, Chris, for the hammer to drop?
So I would say probably right around the 4th of July. That is when my gift to America.
That's awesome.
So that's when some of the hammers are going to be dropping. I'm pushing very hard for the Treasury Secretary to invoke under presidential executive orders tied to foreign interference in our elections. The OFACs, where the Chinese communist money gets seized, both in the campaigns and by the companies themselves.
It should be seized.
Do you have any link or point of contact to get to Scott Bessent?
I have friends, and
he knows Ann Vandersteel, and Ann Vandersteel knows people too. I'm sure he's got a lot of friends.
Yeah, I think Scott Bessent's, a very smart guy, obviously.
He's a very smart guy. He helped almost bring down the Bank of England with George Soros. That's my only concern.
Well, hey.
But hey, you know what? He's doing a good job right now. We'll see if he actually seizes the money. If he seizes the money, then we'll know that he's a good guy. If he doesn't seize the money, the way I look at it, right, this is a litmus test. Because if they're not going to seize this illicit money, then they have to answer for that.
At the moment, I'd be happy with them at least freezing the money. If they just at least froze the money, I'd be happy with that for now.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the illicit money and it being frozen, it has to go to the Treasury, you say. So all of these billions of dollars, and by the way, there's two different vectors that we're taking here. One is with the FEC violations. The other is under a extension of RICO.
Oh, that's good.
Because with RICO, right, this has been an ongoing, uninterrupted criminal enterprise.
Yep.
And because it has been an ongoing, uninterrupted criminal enterprise, we get to go all the way back to the beginning.
And you can charge any co-conspirators, anybody that committed a felony, they can be charged with all of the other felonies. Yeah, it's huge.
And, and the whole idea behind the conspiracy of it, as long as they're participating in it and they're benefiting from it, and you know what that's going to do to some of these crooked attorneys like Perkins Coy and Mark Elias?
Oh, is Norm Eisen in there?
What's that? Yes.
Thank you. Norm Eisen is the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Chris, we've only got a few minutes left. Please tell everybody where they can donate, where they can find you, how they can help.
Sure. Go to Vote for Gleason, VOTEFOR Gleason, GLEASON.com. And we've got all kinds of links on that website. We've got all the receipts. We've got everything. Absolutely everything that we have documented, it's all there. I also have a Substack, voteforgleason.substack.com. And we post all the receipts, heavily documented.
Can they get to your Substack through your website?
Yes.
Excellent. Everybody make sure you go to voteforgleason.com. We got to get this guy in there. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have you back again. When is the election? When is the primary?
August, right?
18th.
August
18th.
Yeah,
okay.
August 18th.
We got to have you back at least a couple more times before then, because we want to get you out there. We want to make sure you win this thing, because I love your mindset. I love where you're at. And you're the one that started this whole thing. That is huge. That should get you the election all alone by itself. That should get you the election. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
You got it,
have a
Chris.
great day.
Thank you.
Got it.
All right, Jay. That was actually really cool, man. He's a very smart guy, as you can tell. Very smart guy. What did you think?
He built an AI. I wanted to ask him if he could run through, did Jack Danger create the curse of the Mambino through his AI?
We got to remember that, because we're gonna have him on again, definitely.
I swear I wanted to ask him a question. Could you please run through, did Jack Danger come up with the curse of the Mambino through your AI, please, sir?
Yeah, but I love it though, because Google knows about it. Even Google said it. ChatGPT, and whatever the hell, Grok said it too, that New York Post and all the other sports, they stole my phrase, which sucks. I should have patented it. I should have trademarked it immediately. But it's all good. It's all good.
Listen, I let you guys gang up on me a little bit with the MAGA thing. Listen, hold on a minute though.
Oh,
America
no, he said,
first.
well, we're America first. It's different.
Hold on. America first was started by MAGA. So let's
but they're different things.
No,
if they were the same thing,
if
they were the same thing, then there wouldn't be an America first. It would just be MAGA. They're different things.
Who's the person who started saying America first? It was Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know, but it's split off into a different faction. America first does not mean a war in Iran.
Listen. Let's be real here. Hang on. You could be America first and not agree on everything. That's for sure.
I know, but we're America first, and you're MAGA. MAGA tends to be more in line with everything Trump does. That's MAGA.
Well, I mean, I support the president. I
don't
agree with everything he does.
I have criticisms also.
I do. Listen, Jack, we could get into it tomorrow.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. We have to be off here at the actual minute before.
Go ahead. Let's talk about our social media. Hit it.
Absolutely. Everybody, make sure you follow us on X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, all of them. I'm trying to find it right now. Where the hell's the picture? Right here. Okay, so follow us on X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Instagram. You can follow Jay on TikTok at @APenionsVary with an A. But Secret America TV is our screen name on all of them. X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Instagram. Make sure you follow us. Not only do we have the live shows on there, but we have awesome clips that you'll really love. Also, make sure you go to maxassociates.etsy.com. They are #1 in USA Pride gifts and patriotic apparel. Every single one. They've got a 4.8 out of 5-star review, which is massive. I mean, who the hell has a 4.8 out of? That means they've had like 1 3-star review and the rest are all 5 stars. It's incredible. So they are really good. Make sure you go there. I'm putting the QR code at the top right. You can scan it. Go to maxassociates.etsy.com or scan the QR code in the top right. I want to thank Chris Gleason for coming on the show. I think he would make a great member of the U.S. Senate. He's smart. He knows what he's doing. And if he doesn't get in for whatever reason, I want him to use his intelligence, find the loopholes of other places in the country where you can go be a U.S. Senate member. He needs to be in there, Jay. We need people like that. That's who we need.
Yeah, even I was going to ask him. We ran out of time. I'll say, even if you don't win, I think there's a place for Chris Gleason somewhere. I mean,
we've got to have him on there.
Be very effective. Yeah, he's effective. Obviously, discovering this act blue thing is huge.
Oh man, even if they appoint him to a board, even if they, why don't they, have a special election? Or what if the president just appoints him to a Senate or just like one of those special appointments?
Well, Jack,
he needs to be in there.
There'll be plenty of people around the president who don't want somebody like Chris Gleason anywhere near Washington, D.C.
Because he has bad advisors. They act in bad faith. And Chris Gleason is the person that would expose all of those people out there. So no, they don't want him anywhere near the Senate.
All right, let's get out of here. It is 8 o'clock.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Deb, for the great show. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Cajun Lady. And yes, we all called out the New York Post. Trust me. And thank you, Raina, and everybody else. For Jay Gatling, I am Jack Danger. Thank you for watching Secret America.
You've been listening to Secret America.